in a tiny house in winter is a little bit different than living in one in summer. Come along and I'll show you some of the things I do to get myself ready for winter. Before we get into the good stuff, just want to remind you that if you like the channel, please make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. Thank you. This is my second year that I will have been in my tiny house truck, and if it's anything like last year, I spent the whole winter toasty and warm thanks to this little thing up here, my little flick fireplace that you all know how much I love. But there are a few other things that keep this house toasty warm. Mainly the double glazing and so even though I've got that beautiful big back window and the big French doors on the side there, it is still beautiful and warm in my tiny house. The other thing that I have is really good insulation. So this house, when it was built, he did all the things that you would do with a normal house and made sure it was really well insulated. So I'm looking forward to another winter in my tiny house, and I thought I would show you some of the ways that I get myself ready for winter. Firewood can be a big expense when it gets to the middle of winter, so I try and get as much free firewood as I possibly can. So I start picking up dry firewood probably late summer, early autumn, and filling up that wood box. I've still got some pine cones left over from last winter, and I was at Whakamaru Lake not so long ago, and there was heaps of firewood there, so I'm pretty good stocked up at the moment. And you can see that I've got some dry kindling that I've bought, and those briquettes, they put out a really good heat, and I can chop them to just the right size. One of the things I do like about winter is when it rains, I can collect the lovely, nice, clean rainwater off the roof. It gets collected at the bottom of my downpipes by a couple of either a bucket or my laundry basket and then I need to figure out how to get it into my tanks, because I can't just pour it in. So have a look at this system that I came up with. This is the ingenious method I came up with to get water off my roof and into my water tanks. Beautiful, clean rainwater. This is just a water pump that I bought from Mitre 10. You can see there's a few itty bitties off the roof floating around in the water, but the filter on the pump will get rid of those. And I just plug it into my electrical socket inside. One of the downsides to living in a tiny house truck in winter is getting washing done. It becomes a little bit more of a problem because the twin tub washing machine that I have got tends to use power. Of course it does, because but power becomes a bit more of an issue over winter because there's not as much coming in, you know, the sunlight's not out for as many hours, and there's not as much sunlight coming onto the solar panels, and you've really got to watch what you use your power for. Also, getting the washing dry, in summer there's, you know, I've had some amazing spots to dry my washing, I must admit, but in winter it of course becomes a little bit of a problem. I can get them dry if I put them in the cab of the truck, because it gets really warm in there, but I try not to do that too often because I'll end up with mold growing in my cab, and I don't really want that. So I tend to use laundromats a lot. It's just one more added expense during winter that I don't have in summer. Usually between $10 to $20 maybe a week. $20 would be maximum. That'd have to be a big load for me to, and that's washing and drying. So it just means finding somewhere to do my laundry once a week. Just one of those things. Another thing that I need to sort out when it comes to winter is my clothing. I used to, in the past, have to swap out all my clothes out of the camper vans that I used to live in, because there wasn't enough space for me to store clothes that I wasn't actually using. So I would, at a certain time of the year when it was getting colder, I would go back to my house, go into the garage and swap out the clothes. So sometimes I would get a bit stuck with that. It would warm up and I only had my winter clothes and I'd spend half my time being hot. But one of the great things about this tiny house is the amount of storage I've got in it. So you'll see I've got all of these little baskets and things in here. And they will, the ones at the front there, hold all the clothes that I am wearing at the moment. But behind them, there are some, there's a lot of space in behind those baskets. Then I just basically put the stuff that I'm not wearing in behind there and just sort of swap things out from one season to another. But they're all on hand, so if I get a cold day and I haven't got a jersey out, then I can just pull my basket out, find my jersey, and off I go. So that's just one of the good things about living in a tiny house and having enough storage to put everything that I need. The other thing I do is I don't go for as many bike rides as I used to, and when it gets colder and I'm a bit of a sock when it comes to cold. I don't like getting cold, so I don't use my bike as much. But one of the problems that I get is rain on my seat. So I came up with this idea the other day when I was parked up at Uppity and it was raining. I chucked this bucket on top of my bike, and it's one of the buckets that I used to collect water with. And I thought, oh, that's a good way to keep my bike seat dry. But also I didn't have a place to keep the bucket, and I used to sort of chuck it in the front of the cab of the truck, and it would always fall down, get in the way, etc. So now I've got a place to put the bucket, and it also keeps my bike seat dry. One of the other things that I do a lot of during winter is I spend a lot more time online. I've discovered TikTok. I put a video up of one of Raoul's beautiful creations, and it got I think it's up to 250,000 views. I picked up 450 followers in about 4 days. So I'm enjoying another outlet of getting my tiny house truck message out there to people. So if you're into TikTok, go and have a look for me. It's under Jude's Tiny House, I think. Tiny house truck. Anyway, it's there. Just search for Jude's Tiny and you'll come up with it. I also watch a lot more Netflix, read a lot more books, all of those sort of solitary winter things that you tend to do a lot of. One of the problems with this lifestyle in winter is finding somewhere to park. A lot of the parking places that I like to go to are on grass, and grass is always a problem in winter. You have to be really careful to make sure you don't get stuck. Some places actually close over winter, so you can't get into them. Some of the dock camps, for example, in different places like that. But one of the things that's going to affect me this year is after a year and nearly a half of not working, I have decided to go back to work for the winter months. So it's trying to find a long-term car park over winter where I can base myself and then sort of head out to find to go to the different places where I work. So I'm a a teacher by trade. Well, that's one of the one of the things that I do to earn a crust. But I've also been a desktop publisher. I've worked in offices, many different things. But these days I'm a teacher. I've got a birth to 8 degree, so I can work in early childhood or primary school. But I choose to work in early childhood. This winter I thought I might base myself in Gisborne. So I need to find myself a spot where I can go. I'll get some relieving work with one of the kindergarten associations up there, and they'll send me off to different kindergartens to relieve people who are sick. So it's just a little bit of added income, and I'll probably do that for about 3 or 4 months, and I'll probably do that every year actually. So this year I'm basing myself in Gisborne probably. I just need to find somewhere to park up, but I'll do that once I get there probably. So it's a big change for me to be parked up in one place. The only other time I've ever done that was when I was stuck in a campground over lockdown, and then I didn't have the choice to leave. I had to stay. So I never like that when I don't have any choices. I'm a strong, independent woman, and I like to have my choices. So I'll toddle around Gisborne and find myself somewhere to stay, and probably my videos I won't be making as many, because if I'm working, maybe not full-time, but working quite a bit, then my video editing time will get cut. So you may see less videos from me. Come to the end of the things that I can think of that I change when I move into winter mode. I'd like to thank my mother and also Alison Burdett, who came up with this idea between the two of them. Mum was talking about rain on the window, and Alison says, "Oh, what do you do for winter? How do you change?" I don't think I've got a photo of of the rain coming down the window, but hopefully it'll rain before I put this video up, and I'll be able to show you some. So I hope you enjoyed that little slice of what I have to do to get myself ready for winter. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please make sure to share with all your friends and subscribe to the channel, because there'll be more up soon.